Hi, I'm Christina Costa and I'm a Reiki Master Teacher based in Brentwood in Essex. And this morning I'm here with Adele Dobson. Adele is a registered nutritionist and the owner of Remedy Health. And so Adele, welcome. It's really lovely for you to come and talk to me this morning.
Thanks for having me on here, Christina.
Could you explain to everyone a little bit about your work as a nutritionist?
Yeah, so I am a registered nutritional therapist. I've been working in that field for quite a few years now. I work with lots of different illnesses, different patients, from very healthy people to very sick people, mainly dealing with chronic diseases. So diseases that can't be remedied that well with our current medical system. Lots of digestive issues, hormonal issues, women at any lots of stages of life, menopausal, menstrual problems. Heart disease, diabetes, lots of different things actually. It's a fantastic line of work, very rewarding when it works, and it works about 95% of the time, which is a really, great success rate.
Fantastic. So what kinds of things would you ask your clients to do then to help them feel better?
Good question. So it's working out. There's a lot of questioning in the initial process, trying to find out what their life is like, what their likes and dislikes are, what they're good at. Are they spending a lot of time in the kitchen? What was their upbringing? What are they used to? What are their comforts in terms of foods? Food can be really emotional as well. So I'm really trying to paint a picture, not just the symptoms that they're coming to me with, but really in order to put that personalized plan together that's going to work for them, I need to know a lot about them. So they need to, it's a very much a two-way thing in the early stages. When we put a plan together, I'm asking them to, depending on who they are, sometimes it's really small changes. Sometimes we put lots of different things in place. As you can imagine, that very A-type personality loves a challenge, loves lots of different things to keep them entertained. As opposed to someone who gets very overwhelmed easily, who might need to take it a lot slower and only can deal with one thing at a time. So yeah, it's a very, very, very different for every person, really different.
Wow, it sounds so fascinating, and I love that how you really personalize depending on the person's character, and I think that's vital because so much of information that we read is general.
Yeah,
It's for the general good of the
yeah,
population. So to be able to have someone personalize that information for you, depending on your character and what's going to work for you best, is really vital. So that sounds awesome.
absolutely. And that's where the value is of working with people one-to-one, just moving away from that generalized approach. They come to me because they tried the generalized approaches and they haven't worked, or they get, again, overwhelmed by all the information on the internet. So, and it doesn't have to be that complicated a lot of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, well, let's talk about Reiki because
Yeah.
obviously that's my passion. And I was looking in my notes, and you did your training with me, I think, nearly 2 years ago.
No, I can't believe it. It's gone so quickly.
It really has. So, can you tell me a little bit about how you've been using Reiki since you did your training?
Yeah. So when I first qualified with you with Reiki 1, I was using it so frequently on myself for all sorts of different things, actually. I was experiencing some anxiety at the time, so I was using that almost like a meditative practice in the morning. I was using it on my cat. At the time, my cat was quite sick. And I was using it with friends, family. I was also using it for my own therapy. So the room within which I work in with patients, it was a nice process to clear the room and to kind of send Reiki into the space. So I was using it for that. I tried using on Reiki on foods and water. I remember you running through that. That was a great little tip. So recently I have been seeing people, I've also been getting Reiki myself from friends who are either practicing or qualified. And that's been nice. I've been going through recently had a recent breakup, so there have been lots of self-care practices, and that's where the Reiki's really come back in I would say with a vengeance, but no, it's not with a vengeance. It's been ever so gentle. It's not aggressive at all. But yeah, it's been fantastic. So all I need to do now is do my Reiki 2, which is part of the plan. I wanted to do it this year. That was one of my goals, but with COVID, I didn't want to do it online. I was already doing another course online, and I'd rather do it face to face. So I'm just waiting for the day we can do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just been such a big year, hasn't it, for things going on. But I'm a firm believer that, when it's the right time, it will fall into place, and you'll know, and you can follow your intuition for that. So I'm just so impressed, like, of all the different ways that you've been using Reiki, even the level 1. So obviously, in case people don't know who's watching, there are 3 levels in Reiki. Level 1, which is the one you use for personal use really, and your friends and family. Level 2, which is when you can become a professional Reiki practitioner. And then the masters, which is when you can go on and teach, and it's the highest level. And this is what I love about Reiki, that from the beginning it's such a simple system and you can use it for everything. And then each level simply takes you deeper and deeper. But it is all there from the start, and you can get going with it straight away. So you mentioned really that you've been using Reiki a lot for your personal life and for your business as well, in terms of, cleansing the room. Do you ever send it to situations for your business, or working with clients?
I haven't. I think it's I think I'd probably forget that it can be used pretty much for everything. I was just thinking now, strangely enough, it's really strange. I was just in the shower, and I'm going to roller disco later tonight, and I was thinking, I don't know why, I was thinking, it's going to be my luck that I just fall down and break my arm. And then the immediate thing was, I can imagine me going to an emergency department and saying, oh no, I don't need painkillers, I'll use Reiki. I thought I'd throw that in there. I don't recommend that at all. It was just...
It's so funny how the mind works, isn't it? I mean, I would always suggest kind of using both medical, having medical attention and putting a load of Reiki in there.
I must have been dreaming or something.
But perhaps what you could do is, you're clearly worried maybe about injuring yourself at the roller disco, as well as being excited about going. So perhaps you could send Reiki to that situation.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And just imagine, what you want to happen. I don't know, gliding around, looking really cool. And give energy to what you want, rather than focusing on like the potential.
That's a really good idea. And actually, to use it in situations where you might be a little bit nervous before the event, maybe some public speaking type thing, where you always get healthy nerves, but it'd be nice to send a bit of Reiki to that.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is something we go into a little bit more as well on level 2, because we touched on it in level 1, and then level 2 there's a kind of slightly different approach towards all that as well. So I think that would be great for you to do.
Yeah, it will be, Christina. So we don't know what next year looks like, do we, for you? Or do you have any plans in place, or is it
not really yet? I think we still need to wait a little bit. But I am working with people online at the moment who feel comfortable in that medium. So it's just such a personal preference, isn't it, about how you want to learn. But for me, Reiki is so adaptable. And because it's an energy, it works everywhere. That's the basis of Reiki, that we're all interconnected. So I think there are lots of possibilities, which is always great.
Unlimited.
Exactly. And how about anxiety then? You mentioned that you said it in the past tense. You said you were feeling quite anxious. So does that mean you're not now? And do you think Reiki has helped with
Yeah.
that?
It's been a lot better actually since the breakup. I know, no disrespect to my ex-partner, it that has helped enormously. I have done a lot of work around it, so that hasn't been the only medium that I've used. There have been lots of things, very common sense approaches like giving up coffee, giving up tea, which is an obvious thing to do if you're suffering from anxiety, because it can be a trigger. And just looking at all of the different things that it could be affecting it, as well as the psychological aspect and how you perceive things, etc. So yes, amongst a package of things that I've used to help myself, that's been a very gentle, and as I say, it's the benefits I get from that and doing it myself. It forces you to stop, and it becomes meditative. It becomes where you have to switch everything off. You're in silence most of the time, and that is obviously another benefit, as well as the Reiki. So.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think this is really important as well for people to understand that Reiki is a tool. So it's not like learn Reiki and all your problems will go away. You know, it's something that is always there for you to use. And I just find it really enhances any other practice that I do. So, you know, I've been doing some coaching this year, and just things like you might get given a task to journal on a certain question. I would always connect to Reiki before I do that. And I find, as you say, it makes you stop, it brings you into this meditative place, and it leads you somewhere a bit further, I think, than perhaps you would have gone without the Reiki. Do you think that's sounds about
That's
right?
why I did it as well. It wasn't just for personal reasons. I did it very much for my practice. I didn't do it also with the intention of bringing it into my practice immediately. I wanted to explore it and then bring it in, but it's just naturally come in. So, like with, you remember I was talking about the personalized approach earlier on, and you're figuring out that person before you put that plan together. Sometimes during that process, you will get intuitively, you will know whether that person would respond well to Reiki. Nothing, it's not always a logical approach. It's just something tells you this person will benefit from something like that. The nutrition, like any therapy, it has its limitations, doesn't it? For example, there's one girl I've been working with for years, about 4 years. She's got progressive MS. So, you know, it's not a disease that you can just give a few pots of tablets for and it's fixed. It's something that is ongoing, and it tends to be very emotional, kind of triggered anyway. And that's something that Reiki is a beautiful thing to do, because it forces that person to stop. And sometimes the reason why they're being triggered is they're not, you know, they haven't got any form of self-care. They haven't got any moment within the day where they do stop or give time to themselves. So even if Reiki is just giving them that for 1 hour, and it can be as frequent as they like, it's so beneficial from that aspect. And they always go away, there's always something. It's a very, you know, relaxation. They feel something shifts. Or, you know, sometimes, as you know, that healing process can continue for a day or two afterwards, and then they still feel things moving or changing. Thoughts might come up that they haven't thought about for a while. Sometimes they can have a like mini healing crisis, but essentially it's all, what's at the other end is an improvement one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what Reiki does. It brings things out which might not be so great at the time they're coming out, but ultimately it's for the greater good and for their benefit.
And it's, you know, if we can be there, be available for them in that aftermath to give them the reassurance that that's completely okay, that's important too, isn't it?
Mm. Oh, absolutely. Having another person, you know, I think we try and, I don't know, I'm guilty of this as well, trying to sort everything out myself.
Mm. Mm.
And really undervalue sometimes the importance of having another person there, not necessarily to even do very much, but to hold space and to facilitate and as you say, give that reassurance that whatever's coming up is okay. It's very valuable.
Yeah.
And then, so the last thing I'd like to ask you about, because I'm super curious about this, is you said, you know, I was using Reiki with a vengeance. I love this idea because it you know, it talks about the powerful way, or it implies certainly the powerful way that Reiki can help, because you're right, it is gentle, but when you look at the changes it makes, it's very powerful. And I always think of this analogy of water, you know, so you think water's quite soft and watery, you know, but actually it can, you know, over time it can grind away rock,
Yeah.
cliff
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great analogy for Reiki. And
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
clearly, you know, you've been experiencing some powerful things going on with it recently when it's come to you know, your emotional life. Do you think that sounds right? Would you be able to use the word powerful?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And not just for myself, but the fact that I've been using it more with other people, and then I also get the benefits from that. So yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I'm so pleased I've done it. I'm so pleased I've done it. I'm so pleased it's in my life. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much for sharing.
Thanks, Christina.
Because it's really important for people to understand all the different ways that you can use Reiki. You know, it's so confusing when you look on the internet. What does Reiki do? Is it this? Is it that? Is it that? So hearing like from real people how they use it and what it's done is wonderful. So thank
I
you.
hope, yeah, if anyone's watching who doesn't know anything about Reiki, I hope that this gives some idea of what it can provide. It's so difficult to put it into words, isn't it? If you're new to the concept of energetic medicine. But yeah, hopefully if you describe it in more practical terms, it can help make sense of it. That's
Yeah.
the idea. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I think it's just, you know, most people come to me because they've heard of Reiki already and a friend has said, oh, I've done Reiki and it's done this, this and this. And that's why I'm doing these interviews really, so that we can hear from different people and how they're using Reiki, especially like you know, 2 years on from your course. So it's great to know that it's not just a course and then you do it and then that's that. It's something that really stays with you all your life.
All your life, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I must admit, I did go back on your course notes and that was really helpful, just to, as a reminder of, again, what you did earlier, reminding me that you can use it in situations you just forget.
Mm.
And it is nice to be reminded. So that book, the work, what would you say, workshop notes? But
The manual.
the manual,
Mm.
yeah, it's
Sounds like a car manual, but yeah.
useful and very well put together as well, because it's something after a couple of years you can still go back to and completely make sense of it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and this is one of the reasons I enjoy teaching so much, because every time I teach a course, even though I've taught them, you know, many, many times now, I still learn, because you can read the same information at different times in your life and it means different things to you.
Yeah.
And that's why Reiki is so amazing in my opinion, because it's fairly simple, but if you truly embody it at different times in your life, then you can just grow every time you
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so well, thank you very much, Adele.